Hello, everybody. My name is Pascal Philippe, and I am the co-founder of the Bali Ocean Days conference. I'm also very pleased to host this podcast, this series of podcasts that we have started a few months ago. Today, I'm particularly pleased to welcome our partner in this series, the Coral Triangle Center founder and executive director, Ibu Rili Djohani. Hello, Ibu. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much, Pascal. It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Pleasure to meet you today to talk about the fantastic organization that you have founded already quite a long time ago. Ibu Rili, Coral Triangle Center. Can you tell us about because you've been working for decades in marine conservation, can you tell us, to start with, a bit about your personal background and what made you intended to create this CTC?
Thank you, Pascal. Yeah, so the story started actually in the Netherlands, strangely enough.
Okay.
Because I was there and I saw these beautiful documentaries from Jacques Cousteau underwater.
From Cousteau.
Yeah, which really inspired me to look at the oceans with a different, with different eyes, and inspired me to take up diving. And my first dive was in the North Sea, which was very cold and you cannot see much. So I thought, okay, maybe it's nicer to go to some warmer waters. And it took me to the Mediterranean, also to the Netherlands Antilles, where I did my field work in Curaçao. And that was a great experience. But since I am Indonesian and I went to Indonesia often with my family, I thought actually the best country to actually study coral reefs would be Indonesia. So after I graduated as a marine biologist, I volunteered with WWF, and I dove from Sabang to Merauke at that time to really explore which areas in Indonesia would be eligible for marine conservation areas. And we worked closely with the government and local communities to document those areas. And I'm very happy to see that many of those sites we recommended, this was in 1989, are now well-established marine protected areas in Indonesia. And so I came as a volunteer and I never left Indonesia. I continued my work in non-government organizations like WWF, the Nature Conservancy. But after a while, I felt like what we really need in this country is to build up the capacity of local communities, local government, to really care for the oceans. And I saw that the transfer of knowledge to local communities, but also to learn from them and from others, was something that I thought was really worthwhile to set up a foundation like the Coral Triangle Center that really has the mission to train, but also learn, exchanges, facilitate exchanges among people to care for the oceans. And hence, in 2010, I founded the Coral
It's a long
Triangle Center.
story already. So you've been decades underwater,
right,
diving, exploring a bit different regions, different seas. And so before we talk more about the different missions and activities of the Coral Triangle Center here in Sanur, where we are basically recording this episode.
Yeah.
What can you define what is basically Coral Triangle region? What is the Coral Triangle region? And tell us, Ibu, really why it is so important for the marine biodiversity.
Yeah. Thank you for that great question, Pascal. The Coral Triangle region is the epicenter, I think, for marine biodiversity, particularly because you find more than 75% of all coral species in the region here.
That's an impressive number.
Yeah, it's just unprecedented compared to any other region. And includes 6 countries: Indonesia, Philippines, Malaysia, Timor-Leste, Papua New Guinea, and the Solomon Islands. And those 6 countries harbor the most diverse coral reef ecosystems in the world.
And why do you think this coral triangle region has a higher level of biodiversity versus other waters?
Yeah, this has to do with the configuration also of the islands. Indonesia is the largest archipelago, which is like the Philippines. They have lots of small islands that provide a great habitat and allows for high diversity of corals. And also the Indonesia through flow from the Pacific Ocean to the Indian Ocean provides currents that really helps with nutrients, with coral larval dispersal, but also providing deep water from the sea to actually cool off the water surface. So the physical conditions for coral reefs in the Coral Triangle are so perfect for coral development.
Perfect. But have we seen any damage recently to this level of biodiversity? We know about global threats.
Yeah.
We know about a decline in biodiversity. What are the main factors that are driven this magnificent region into danger?
Yeah, unfortunately, as you say, there are many threats to the oceans, to the coastal and marine ecosystems. And in April, we recorded the hottest year in the history of the planet Earth since 140 years ago. And so the global warming, climate change, pose a severe threat, the key threat to the oceans, meaning the oceans are warming up, leading to bleaching and the killing of corals. It alters the currents, it alters marine life, and exacerbated actually with ocean acidification. So the oceans also become more acid. And then you have on top of that the marine pollution, destructive fishing. And so the oceans are in peril.
Industrial fishing, trawling, illegal fishing issues.
Absolutely. So that's why I think we really need to join forces together to address those issues.
So in this situation, you have been instrumental a few decades ago, Ibu Rili, in defining the concept of marine protected areas.
Right.
Yeah, right. And this is at the heart of your mission, if I'm not mistaken. This is to develop and manage MPAs. Can you remind our audience about what is basically an MPA?
Yeah, so a marine protected area is really about protecting the critical habitats in the ocean. So for example, coral reefs, they are key for many species. And so if you protect coral reefs, mangroves, which are nurseries for smaller fish, the seagrass beds as well, the connection between those ecosystems, then you can actually protect the replenishment of a lot of species outside.
Protect against industrial fishing.
Exactly, commercial fishing.
Protect against
intensive tourism, extractive uses. Yeah. And so the marine protected areas are, for example, we can say really the banks of the, if you wanted to call it more in the business terms, the banks of the oceans, and you can actually get the interest in terms of sustainable fisheries, sustainable tourism, the coastline, but you can only get those revenues, those interests, if you have an savings. These are the MPAs, the marine protected areas. And
but the communities, Ibu, the traditional fishing is still allowed in this scheme?
So over let's say 30 years or so, 3 decades, the concept of marine protected areas changed. It was very much focused on ecological protection,
right.
But now we're very much focused also on socio-economic
including
parameters.
The communities, letting the communities develop their own.
and how they can benefit from the marine protected areas, how they can continue their traditional practices. And so right now, I think we're at a great point, Pascal, where we can blend socio-economic objectives with the ecological objectives for protection.
That's quite a positive. We remember IUCN in 2016, if I'm not mistaken, having this very ambitious target, but we call it the 30 by 30 MPAs target. Okay, that means to protect 30% of the surface of oceans by 2030. What do you think it's a realistic target? Do you see? How about Indonesian waters protection in terms of how many percent of the Indonesian waters are presently under MPAs, marine protected area rules?
Yeah, so in Indonesia, the goal actually from the government is to set 10% of its waters by 2030.
10%?
Yeah, and 30% by 2045. But if you consider the vastness of the Indonesia waters,
that's huge.
It's huge. So 10% is 32.5 million hectares, which contributes significantly to the global goals.
32 million hectares.
Exactly.
That's huge.
And actually, we're right on target. It's now 2024, and already 28 million hectares are set aside legally in marine protected areas in more than 400 MPAs throughout Indonesia. So I think Indonesian government has done a great job in establishing this, and we now also have to make sure that they are effectively managed.
Effectively implemented, monitored,
implemented. Management plans, engaging of the local communities.
You probably need lots of resources to effectively implement these rules, considering the size of the waters to protect.
Absolutely, but therefore also capacity. So you do need people to actually manage those areas. And that is also coming back to the mission of CTC. Our goal is to really support that capacity development. Park managers, local communities, they can be involved in monitoring, collecting data, so they can be really part of the management as well, as we have seen in several areas, like Nusa Penida, Banda Islands. So we really try to engage communities in the actual management of the MPAs and really build the capacity locally for that purpose.
And you have noted success stories. Are you particularly happy about certain areas?
Yes, absolutely.
That work according to the objectives?
Yes, very much so. For example, we can look at Raja Ampat in West Papua. You have Raja Ampat, Nusa Penida. You have Wakatobi National Park, the Rawan Barao Islands in Kalimantan. So there are many MPAs underway to really get effective, and the government has also a tool to monitor this called EFICA. And a lot of NGOs support the government in implementing it.
Raja Ampat, you remember our friend Mark Erdman? That I take part into the Bali Ocean Days conference in last January. You remember him? He's stating that the biodiversity, the present biodiversity in Raja Ampat is equal, if not better than what it used to be a couple of decades ago, because we heard that dynamite fishing, cyanide fishing practices and all have receded, right? Communities are more aware about good practices, right?
Yeah, I agree with that. And there are also just more resources for government and communities to care for the ecosystems. And there's also a great program going on in rewilding, the shark population, for example, the zebra shark. But overall, the local government also is very much on board.
Using advanced technologies, what kind of technologies can be used to monitor those huge surface of waters?
Well, I know there are initiatives underway to use drones, for example, So that would be a great way to actually cover those vast areas like in Raja Ampat. And
Satellite images too, maybe
Yeah.
AI images
oh yeah,
too,
absolutely.
to make a real picture of the fishing activities,
Right.
the way it is, not the way it is reported, right?
Yeah, so it's actual.
Lots of unreported
Yeah.
fishing activities, actually.
Yeah, and you can actually deal with that through much more live footage taken by drones or taken by underwater also. We use much more reef imagery. And so it allows us also to analyze things at a much larger scale, but also doing that here in the office rather than underwater. We used to do that manually, and we can now use reef imagery programs for that matter.
Very interesting. MPA management, Ibu Rili, and implementation. What other missions do you develop in CTC, in Coral Triangle Center?
Yeah,
here in
so
Bali?
besides marine protected areas
Yes.
and capacity building training, we do a lot on education programs
Education
here
program,
at the center.
you find it as a key point, yeah?
Absolutely, especially for school children. We have a special program called Ocean Keeper Club, where we target the elementary schools,
Oh, you engage young children.
young children, as they are really the future. So we really want to invest in early awareness raising on the importance of oceans.
So you develop programs with local schools here in Bali?
That's right. Yeah, and then
You
they
invite
come.
them to the center to...
Yeah, it's very interactive. They have a lot of fun. They do games. We have fishing games. It's very interactive. And also you see the kids really getting engaged. And it's a 12-month program, so once a month. And they learn about corals, mangroves, seagrass, what kind of species. They do quizzes. It's very interactive.
And you have the impression that this new generation is getting more committed, more involved than the previous
Absolutely.
one?
Yeah. I've seen it 30 years ago.
Yeah.
How many kids were interested, or even adults for that matter. It was focused on the land. And now 30 years later, forwarded, we have so much more support and interest in the oceans. And I can say the internet has been a great ally for us. The beautiful images, video documentaries, to visualize the beauty and diversity underwater is key in this awareness.
So yeah, the awareness has been rising year
Absolutely.
after year, you're right, which is quite
It's fabulous. And also so through social media.
Positive sign.
Yeah.
All right, so I mean, we're talking about communities, capacity building, and an important program about coral reef restoration
Right.
that you develop also in around Bali or beyond Bali.
Yeah,
What
but we
else?
focus on Bali for now. So we have set up a coral reef rehabilitation network in Bali to maximize the sharing and learning of different techniques among practitioners, dive operators, NGOs, government. So we all are together to share our experiences. But CTC has a partnership with Mars Sustainable Solutions.
Mars Foundation.
Correct.
Yeah, that's a
And
major player. Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. And they developed the Reef Star, which is a great low-tech technique to restore coral reefs. And we've done this in Nusa Penida at scale.
Low tech. What do you mean? I mean, what kind of substrate? What kind of a...
So it's like
Material?
it's like a spider structure
I
from
see.
metal and then coated. And it's very light. You can easily make it with the community, and it's easy to bring to the sea. And then you can tie the small fragments of coral on it, versus, for example, massive dome structures from cement or major structures. We really like the Reef Star because it's organic,
The
it's
reef
light.
star. How large is that? I mean, we're talking
It's
about...
maybe 50 by 50 centimeters.
Okay, and you put plenty of those stars.
Yeah, and
in
you
it.
can actually stack them together. And so it's also connected. And these 15 fragments are put on those spiders. And then within 8 months, we saw a great.
In 8 months, you see great results.
Yeah, already you cannot.
Growth.
You actually the spiders are already covered,
Yeah.
and it's a great way for me to see how restoration actually helps increase the resilience of the coral reefs. And so we do it at certain areas.
So if I want, I can dive and have a look on those star reef programs in Nusa Penida and somewhere else in Indonesia, maybe?
Yeah, you can
Sulawesi, I've heard.
Sulawesi, because that's the center for Mars. So they have the Hope Reef there, and I think hectares.
It's one of the biggest, one of the largest.
And you can see it, from above. So it's beautiful. They have put hope in the reef as a word. But that is definitely a great demonstration site. We've done it also in the Banda Islands in Maluku.
Oh, in Banda, okay.
Yeah.
So it's a great part of your activities, yeah. I've heard about green fins, if I'm not mistaken. Green fins.
Yeah, that's a great
green fins program.
Also, great program.
What's your ambition with this?
Well, we really like to make the dive industry sustainable.
Diving industry.
And the dive operators are really great allies for conservation. But the United Nations Environmental Program, they designed a global standard for dive operations. And together with Refill Foundation in UK, we work together to certify the dive operators in Indonesia to obtain the greenfin standard. And we are proud to say that 31 dive operators have already been certified by CTC. And so having a greenfin's status as a dive operator, it means you're really, adhering to the highest standards for your operations. So minimizing the impact on the environment. They put investment in operations so it doesn't pollute the environment, and they have a code of conduct as well.
So if we want to dive in a sustainable way, would you recommend a few dive centers for our audience? Maybe they can in Bali.
Well, I would definitely recommend all the greenfin certified ones.
So we can check the list about greenfins.com or something like that.
Yeah, correct.
On the internet, I can know which dive centers are certified.
In Indonesia, you have the Greenfin's website.
Excellent.
And I think it's worthwhile mentioning one is Chiningan Divers in Nusa Penida.
Chiningan Divers.
In Nusa Penida Marine Protected Area. They're the first in Indonesia to get a 0 score for their assessment. It's done every year.
That means the highest ranking, yeah?
Yeah, so the minimum impact on the environment. And there are only 2 in the world that has that score. And so we have one here in Bali. And so I think
we can be proud about Chiningan Divers.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's go and visit them.
It's very
anytime
much
soon in a beautiful area where lots to see in these waters, and Nusa Penida, Nusa Lembongan.
Absolutely.
Chiningan is a tiny island
between Lembongan and Penida. Yeah.
Let's go to Chiningan Divers. Thank you for their efforts.
And adopt a coral at the same time.
Adopt a coral policy.
So you can adopt a coral at CTC and then help restore the reefs in Nusa Penida.
So interesting, positive stories, but probably challenges, heavy challenges. What do you think would be the highest challenging in developing your missions? That makes it.
Yeah, that's a
difficulties.
Great question. I guess. I think a lack of capacity. That's why I think we really have a gap in human resources.
Human resources.
Yeah.
This is what you mean, what you need the most.
Yeah, because you have 10%, you have these great percentages to set aside MPAs, but who is going to manage these? So you need people who can do that, but also resources. So it's also financial challenge. And also I think it's about coordination among sectors, because everyone is vying for the same space. So marine spatial planning is also key in addressing, different interests and priorities along the coastline. So marine spatial planning is very important. And I think it's very good to see that the government of Indonesia is prioritizing these marine protected areas, because they are really, as I said, the banks for sustainability. So they are the pillars also for the sustainable blue economy that the government envisions. Because without those protected areas, it's very hard to sustain the coastal ecosystems that we all depend on for fisheries, food security, tourism, and coastal protection.
Coral Triangle Center. Would you name? So you have developed any international cooperation, international partnerships?
Yeah, we're very proud with our partnership with Mission Blue. This is the foundation from Sylvia Earle.
Yeah, I've heard about your award you've been to Seattle recently?
That's correct. We also have a partnership with the Seattle Aquarium.
Seattle Aquarium, yeah.
Also on education, of course, and nature interpretation. But at Mission Blue, they said, they help with Hope Spot. It's similar to MPAs, but they provide the publicity, the marketing support for those hope spots, like Nusa Penida is also a hope spot under the Mission Blue. And, they help with implementation of management as well. So Mission Blue, Seattle Aquarium, we have also great collaboration with the IUCN, World Conservation Unit. Okay. Yeah. And of course the Coral Reef Initiative. We are a strategic partner to the 6 countries and the regional secretariat. And we're also a member of ICRI, the International Coral Reef Society. And
so very well connected Coral Triangle
yes.
International level. Do you have any long-term? I mean, what would be your ambition, Rili, in let's say in the 5 to 10 coming years? Do you have any? What would be your long-term ambition now, considering the evolution of the situation, marine conservation situation?
Yeah, that's a great question also, Pascal. I think I would love to see, more effective marine protected areas, so we can actually showcase in Indonesia models of marine conservation that is supported by communities, private sector, government, and have more alliances here that can scale up our impact in the long term. And I would love to see a marine conservation curriculum in Indonesia for the elementary
marine conservation
schools
curriculum
and the high schools. And we look forward to work more closely with the Ministry of Education on this. And I think the role of women, we work on that a lot, and empowering women to be more effective in conservation. For example, in waste management, they take a lot of initiative we see on the islands, but also
empowering women. Yeah, you think it's a crucial?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a key step in the community context to also have them involved in village decision making. So more on that. In that field also, more inclusiveness in our approach and more equitable distribution of benefits. But in the end, I hope for striving coral reefs in Indonesia that we can all enjoy, and a great capacity at the schools and the universities to continue this work.
Anything we can do? What about our viewers' capacity to support your action? How our audience or public can help you in any way? To follow you on your...
Yes, they can follow us on Instagram, Facebook. We are on LinkedIn. But also they can visit us, of course, at the Coral Triangle Center in Bali. We have
Bali here in Sanur.
Very exciting escape rooms. You have to save the coral reefs in 1 hour. So that will be a fun game with your family or your friends. But also you can adopt a coral, actually visit the coral reefs together with us to Nusa Penida and help restore the reefs yourself.
Excellent. So that's a great outing that you propose to the people here in vacation in Bali or living in Bali.
Absolutely, and we encourage people to take dive courses. We have also coral dive school here. And again, if young people like to do internship with us, volunteer,
Are you welcome interns
Yeah, welcome very
from
much.
all over the world?
All over the world. But also adults, welcome to volunteer with us. And so we welcome everyone who'd like to help care for our oceans.
Fantastic Coral Triangle Center that we've been, we know more about you. We're gonna support you. The Bali Ocean Days community is here, and we will be very pleased to see you in our next conference in February 2025. Thank you very much, Ibu Rili, for this episode. We can say thank you to everybody and goodbye, everybody. See you soon at the Bali Ocean Days podcast. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you so much, Pascal. Thank you.